YouTube. It's Candace again. I am back. I hope everybody's doing well this Sunday evening. It's now 5:54 here on the East Coast. I don't know about around your way. I'm actually feeling a lot better than I did earlier. I made myself a hot cup of water. Well, I microwaved this like for the third time, so I'm just going to drink it. But, I just woke up feeling very, like ill. And my stomach felt nauseous. I felt sick. Like I wanted to throw up several times. I didn't, but it was just nausea. And a headache, real bad headache, was just going up to my head. And every time I laid on my right side, I felt like I was going to throw up. I was supposed to take my nephews again today to go make homemade pizza with them, take them out, and I didn't get a chance to do because I was sleeping more than half the day. I slept up to 3. Like, for the most part. I got up at, what time? What time this morning? Around 8, and that's when I started feeling the sickness. And I just said, ooh. And, I am on, the cycle, So most likely that's what's caused it. At first I thought it was food poisoning. I said, I hope I'm not getting food poisoning from something I ate. But then I realized, it's because of this, why I'm feeling like that. I felt so shitty. I just felt horrible, and I felt extra fatigued. They call it the period flu, for some people, but I haven't had bad symptoms like this in a long time, like this. It was bad today. So I missed out half of my Sunday just trying to feel better, and it was bad. I also was on top of that constipated, so that's the reason I made hot water, and I microwave. This is the third time I microwaved in the same water. I'm going to drink it down, but hot. By the way, this is Paul Hardcastle, Peace on Earth. So, it was bad. My stomach was feeling horrible, nausea, bad headaches, fatigue, felt emotional and crazy. I said, I gotta sleep. I couldn't even get out of my bed. I felt so bad earlier, and I felt shitty. I was like, I want to sleep. That's all I wanted to do every single time. And then, I got up. I even tried after maybe 2 or 3 hours. I said, let me get back up. Let me try to shower. And that helped me a little bit. Then the nausea and everything came back. I was like, oh, no. I said, I gotta go back to my bed. Went back to sleep. It was about to 3 when I woke up, and I felt better. And I said, okay, now the nausea is good. I couldn't even eat. I had a couple of sips of tea with honey. I had a banana, try to just stick with the banana, and I had a little couple pieces of peaches. And I just could not, it just wasn't helping. And then I would go back to sleep, and that was my whole day today. I'm now feeling a lot better. So when I woke up, I said, oh my gosh, you're so glad this is gone. That wasn't food poisoning. Just, Mrs. Mean Aunt visiting, She needs to go away really soon, and cramps. I was not happy today. I was not a happy camper at all. I'm now starting to feel a lot happier and better since she's left. And as soon as I got up and I was able to, around 3, I just said, okay, good. I feel a lot better. Let me go hop in and take a shower and refresh myself. And so that's what I did. I felt shitty all day. I said, I want to feel better. So it's washed up. I brushed out my hair. It's in a big little fro right now. It's hot outside. I ain't trying to do nothing with it too much. And, I got dressed up and did a little bit of makeup or whatever on my eyes and stuff. But I just wanted to feel better. I wanted to feel good. I don't want to feel like I'm on my cycle. I've already had enough with her, earlier today. I had enough of her. She was mean to me. Oh, boy. And I only had 2 pieces of toast since the time I woke up, which was around 3. I don't want to eat too much because I'm scared that if I do eat too much, maybe something else will happen where, another symptom's going to come on. So I'm just going to eat light today. That's it. I'm just going to eat very bland. I may have 1 piece of meat later on tonight for dinner, some rice and broccoli, and I'll try to go back to sleep maybe around 12 because I slept so long today. So, sleeping too long is not good. And I wanted to do a Bible study, but I'll do it tonight before I go to sleep. I think I'm going to read some scriptures. But I'm doing this stream. It's called, as you see, Recap of Mistakes versus bad intentions. And so this was actually a stream I did yesterday on my way to the grocery store. But somehow, I don't know why, this happened again where I stream on the YouTube app and it cuts off my stream. You know, it was streaming for 54 minutes, then it just shut off automatically. I said, what the hell is going on? I made a part two. It was only like 2 minutes, but, you know, I figured I'd just take that down because, you know, my whole first video nothing got recorded. Only the first 2 minutes got recorded, which is weird. So I figured I'd do a recap of what I was talking about yesterday. Let me turn this ad thing off here. Get off. Now, which one is this? This is Jazz Masters V Mix. All right. Oh, and I already see a little Wi-Fi bar on the left side here acting up again. I don't know why. It always seems like something's wrong with the internet all the time. What is it doing? Get off. Connection's unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your router. Okay, all right. I know. Let me just make sure this thing is working because, you know, let me just see something here. Too many internet issues. Give me 1 second here. Just going to turn this down for a minute. Oh, it's up. Okay. I just want to make sure because, you know, it's this thing is being a pain in the butt lately with all this Wi-Fi issues and internet. Yesterday, that was just ridiculous. When I was driving, the thing didn't record. It sucks. All right. I'll drink some more of this. Okay. After I drink this warm water, I ain't drinking no more because it's hot today. I only did this for my stomach today. So I'm going to drink some water. I bought some no sugar, zero sugar lemonade. It has like stevia leaf. And I was drinking that yesterday, which is good. And just try to stay hydrated most of the day. Yesterday, you know, during my stream, you know, I was talking about how there are some people that will try to get you to feel bad when you decide to set the boundaries and to say, look, I'm not going to put up with your mess and your bad behavior, and I'm going to cut you off because I see that you don't mean well for me. And there'll be a lot of people in this world that will sit there and try to guilt trip you by saying that, oh, everybody deserves a second chance. You know, everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody makes mistakes. Yeah, of course everybody makes mistakes. But there is a thing called bad intentions. And there are two different things. There's a difference between making bad choices, mistakes, bad decisions, and there is bad intentions. And see, that comes all with really knowing how to discern things and being able to really make a good judgment, evaluating people, a situation, you know, and making a decision after all of it and saying, you know what, is this just a person that's making mistakes? Or is this person not meaning well for me and they have bad intentions? Their heart don't mean well for me. And I used an example yesterday about a husband and wife, right? Now, of course, in a marriage, you can't just walk up and leave your husband. You're in a covenant. But there is a such thing as separation, which when you separate, you know, let's say your husband is abusive and he's beating you and he's treating you like dirt and your mental health is getting all messed up and everything. You don't have to stay with them. God did not tell us to stick in a marriage where it's toxic and abusive. But however, separation is okay. Can you go with other people during the separation? No, absolutely not. But you can leave that person and say, I can't be in this. You're too toxic for me. You keep hitting me. You keep abusing me. Now, I didn't use the abusive, example yesterday, but I'm using it now. You could decide to say, I'm not going to put up with this. It's a mistake. I made a mistake. But is this a mistake or is this really what your heart feels about me? Is that you really don't love me? You're calling me names. You have very bad intentions for me. This is not love. Love is not you sitting here and slapping me in the face, threatening me, putting bruises on my body, telling me I'm not allowed to feel good about myself, forcing me to have sex or forcing me this. That's not okay. And then I'm ending up with vaginal infections. That doesn't seem like somebody who's making mistakes. It seems like bad intentions. So those kind of people like to manipulate, and they will try to make you feel bad by saying everybody deserves a second chance. No, yeah, of course. But you know what? There's a thing called bad intentions. And in that situation, when I realize somebody don't mean well for me and they're trying to hurt me, or they don't have a good heart for me, their ways are bad for me, I don't have to give you a second chance at a relationship. I can walk away. The example I did use of the husband and wife yesterday was about a man that cheats. And so I leave this up to people to make a decision. I'm in no way telling you if your husband or cheated on you or whatever, you have to go run and don't give him another chance at all. However, I leave that up to a person to say, hey, that's a decision you have to make. However, if you feel like, hey, this person cheated on me, and they're claiming they made bad decisions, but it was like the whole time they didn't care. They didn't feel guilty about what they did. They've just been cheating behind my back, laughing and giggling. They didn't care that I've had 4 of their kids. They didn't care that I cooked and cleaned, that I busted my tail, been a good wife or a good husband. You know, you bust your tail for her. You worked your ass off. She never had to work a day in her life. And then it's like she had no guilt behind what she did. And then when you find out about her, she's mad at you or he's mad at you. And it's always, I made a mistake. Just give me a second chance. Everyone deserves second chances. You're not allowing me another chance. You're not giving me a chance. I tell people you got to kind of use your judgment and say, okay, this person never planned on telling you that they were going to cheat. And they obviously don't care. They only cared when they realized they were losing something good. And you got to say, is that a mistake or is that bad intentions? That's a bad heart. That's somebody who don't care about me. That's somebody who wants to use me and thinks I'm a fool. And they don't respect me. And that comes up to a person to decide for themselves. But if you really feel like, hey, they're guilt tripping me, are they right? No, they're not right. You know, your gut instincts is right. They have bad intentions for you. You have to make that decision to say, do I want to keep dealing with somebody that's going to keep doing this to me? Or I'm going to sit back and say, I'm going to walk away. If you walk away, 2 things I have to say on that situation there is you did the right thing for yourself. It was a smart decision. It was wise because you don't have to put up with that abuse. And 2, the Bible states you can divorce on the grounds of adultery, nothing else. So you didn't do nothing wrong by saying, hey, I'm walking away. I don't have to give this person a second chance. I can forgive afar. You know what I mean? I can forgive. People often think that forgiveness means letting somebody back in, giving them a second chance at a relationship or something. No, you don't have to let somebody back into your life. You do not have to let somebody who's harming you, that's bad intentions for you, that don't like you, that don't care about you, that's abusing you in all sorts of ways, whether it's emotionally or mentally or physically, spiritually. People could spiritually harm you in many ways. They can introduce things to you that's not of you. You don't support it. People harm you in all ways. You don't have to put up with that. You can say, I choose not to put up with that. I'm not going to put up with somebody who wants to abuse me and hurt me and have bad intentions, and they don't care that they hurt me. They only care now because they're losing me. That's called bad intentions. That's not a mistake. That's not something where I just made an unintentional mistake and I'm so sorry, or I wasn't thinking, and I made a mistake this one time. That's somebody who has bad intentions. Don't get it twisted. This is another Paul Hardcastle, but I'm going to change this. But yeah, you don't have to put up with that. You made the choice for yourself to say, hey, I'm not going to put up with that. I deserve better. And people will sit back and tell you, oh, you're not being forgiven. You're not forgiving me. Forgiveness does not mean letting somebody back in. I'm going to look up another song from Paul Hardcastle that I really like. Forgiveness does not mean letting somebody in. It means to let go. Not to hold something over someone's head, have revengeful thoughts, anger, bitterness, hatred towards that person. You know what I mean? You're allowing that person to be let go for your own peace of mind. And you're not going to want to get revenge on that person or wish bad. You wish them well, but you're like, I will love you afar. There's a such thing called I will love you afar. You don't have to be around them. You can love them afar, wish them well afar, and forgive them and move on. It doesn't mean to let back. It means to move on. Let go and you can move on. You don't have to let that person back in. Okay. And I say it because a lot of people will try to trick you up, especially with Christian people, children of God. People will try to make it seem like, oh, you're Christian, you're supposed to be forgiving, you're supposed to let people back into your relationship. You don't have to let toxic people who are trying to hurt you back to your relationship. Even in the Bible, it talks about people, certain people, to not let them back into the church, the group of people, the flock, if they were like doing certain things. You can love them from afar. If they're bringing toxicity into the body of Christ, why would you bring them back in? You could forgive them and move on. They choose to keep doing a certain thing that's going to hurt you and have bad intentions. You don't need to put up with that. You know, you don't have to let somebody back into a relationship with you. I'm not saying you can't say hi to them every once in a while if you see them. Because, oh, hi, how you doing and stuff, but you don't want to let them back in because they're a problem. And they'll sit there and say, oh, you're a Christian, you're supposed to be forgiven. No, forgiven don't mean let people abuse you and letting them back in and being toxic. No. Don't ever let somebody sit here and tell you that, because that's foolish. And same thing with, now it's a difference, like if a husband cheated on you, right? Like he went to a certain place at the wrong time, or a wife went to a certain place at the wrong time, and somebody came onto them and tempted them, and things has been going on in your marriage or relationship, and they say, I am so sorry. They come and confess to you. I've been doing this for a long time. I've hurted you, and I am so sorry that I did this. You know, forgive me. And they understand if you don't want to be with them anymore. So I understand if you don't want to be with me anymore, but I hope there's somewhere in your heart that you can forgive me and will allow me a second chance. As somebody that's a little bit more genuine. And yes, it's up to you to say, hey, it's going to take a long time for me to trust you again and be with you. But they would be understanding. You know, it's a little bit different. As somebody who made a mistake, it was unintentional and wasn't like that bad intentions in their heart to just go in and do things behind your back like that, you know? So that's a little bit different. You could say in that sense that was a really bad mistake. It wasn't intentional, like in their mind, to go and just cheat. However, that moment they went along with their temptations, and that's a little bit different, you know. And I'm not saying go but take them back, but I'm just, you know, in that situation, I can understand if someone got a second chance at a relationship. You know, you can see like, okay, this person was very loyal for years, and they just made one bad mistake, you know, and it wasn't in their heart to want to hurt me. It's just they were in their temptations, you know. Another example I gave yesterday was with a friend of mine's, right? I have a friend in my life currently right now. She actually cut off a family member. She cut him off. Now people may say, oh, that's family. Oh, this is Paul Hardcastle here. I think this is Desire. So I'm going to play this one here. I like this one a lot. Let me play it. Oh, get off ad. Yeah, I like this song here. So she cut him off. You know, I recently spoke to her, and she just said I had to cut him off. I got sick and tired of him making me feel like I'm the black sheep of the family for all these years since I was a child. You know, he's always mistreated me. He's always mentally, emotionally, physically, especially emotionally abused her. It was actually the worst part was the emotional part. Just abusing her emotionally. She just got sick and tired of it. And now she's in her 30s. And it just keeps happening where he just, you know, he's very narcissistic towards her. And the other child that he has, he's not like that towards her. So it hurts. It hurts her, you know. She's like, that really hurts me. And she says, you know what? You don't even like me anyways. She was like, you know, I don't even know why I even talk to you anymore. She says, I don't ever want to talk to you again. And she hanged up. She said she cut him off. After 30-something years of her life, she just said, I'm done with it. So I'm tired of people, you know, family that wants to mistreat me and not love me and care about me, but yet I'm always there for them, bending my back for them. And it just comes to show you, sometimes you got to cut off family sometimes. Blood isn't always thicker than water. There are some people that just, they resent you. There are people who have mothers that sit there and resent them and sleep with their boyfriends and treat them like shit because they resent them for some odd reason. You know, maybe they remind them of their father or somebody in their family. You know, and it's not right. So people like that, you need to cut them the hell out of your life. Okay, whether they're family or not, because they have to understand that there are boundaries you cannot pass. And it's for you and your own mental well-being. Don't let them sit back and say, we're family, we're supposed to stick together. Oh, I'm your father, I'm your mother, I'm your brother, your sister. It could be a jealousy in the family. You can't be around with that. You can't mess with jealousy and envy. It's deadly. Bible says jealousy is as cruel as the grave. Where there is jealousy and strife, there is confusion and every evil work. So you need to get away from all that. You don't need to be around that kind of energy. So that's what she did. She says, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with putting on the abuse onto me, on whoever he was putting on at first before it got to me. Because obviously, I know I have my opinion, or I would say my theory of why he treats her the way he does. And it's not of her fault. And it's really sad. And so she ended up saying, we're done, cutting you off. I don't ever want to talk to you again. Unless you're going to change. That ain't a mistake. He ain't, he can't sit back, come back to her and says, I made a mistake. No, you didn't make a mistake. You have bad intentions. You have wicked intentions. You're showing me a heart of evil. You say you love me, that I'm your family, I'm your blood, but yet you showing me another side to you. You showing me something else. And I can't take what you say serious. And so she ended up cutting the waters with him. And sometimes you got to do that. It is not easy, but sometimes you have to. And you can forgive them and love them afar. But you ain't going to put up with that shit. And that's how you got to be with people. Sometimes you got to be like that. Don't let them deceive you with this whole, I thought you're supposed to forgive people. Oh, I thought that, we're family. Everybody makes just mistakes. That's called manipulation. Okay, don't let people manipulate you and gaslight you into thinking you did something wrong by trying to walk the high road, do what's better for you. So that was the one example I gave yesterday. Now, in the near future, maybe her and her family member will get along someday. Maybe they'll realize the things they've done to her, and they will change and say, you know what, I was effed up what I did to you. And that's where it shows some kind of heart change. And maybe you can let them back in. But until then, why put up with that? Another example I gave was about like friendships and certain relationships. There are people out in this world that claim that they're your friend, that they love you, that they want what's best for you. They say that they support you. They say that, that they mean well for you. But all the while, yet they say these things, but then on the tail end, you catch these same people pulling you in the midst of drama. You catch these same people in the midst of crossing your boundaries and not caring about your feelings. You catch these same people in the midst of having bad intentions for you. They say they want right for you, but then they always put you in the midst of troubles all the time. You hear them mentioning your name in the midst of drama and issues. You hear them gossiping about you or throwing out your personal business to people. And you're saying, is this somebody that's my friend? They say they love me. They say, oh, we're friends. I care about you, bestie. I hate that word. You're my bestie. But behind your back, you see a whole nother actions. And you got to make a decision. And when you decide to say, you know what? I deserve better. I'm being taken for granted. This person on a roundabout way is mistreating me. Let me see. I'm going to go to the next one. Paul Hardcastle, Body Heat. Let's go to this. Body Heat. I don't know if I like this here. I'll turn this one. This sounds good. Free Fall Part Hardcastle. So, this person can't keep secrets, or they're always constantly pulling you in the midst of issues, and your name is always in the midst of somebody else's problems in a hat, and it's just causing you so much problems. They're gossipy, slanderous, and you got to say, this ain't my friend. This is somebody that has bad intentions for me. And they overcompensate you with gifts, and they overcompensate you with the love bombing, but all the while you're like, why does the person have to do all this for me? Why? It's because they're trying to camouflage their true intentions and who they really are. They're trying to buy their relationship with you because they know that who they really are. They're toxic and a problem. And so people like that, you need to make a decision to say, do I want to keep hearing this whole idea of they're making mistakes, everybody deserves a second chance? Well, let me tell you something. Not everybody deserves a second chance, because when they have bad intentions and they're trying to hurt you and they don't realize what they're doing to you, guess what? It's time to walk the hell away. They're not going to, let me tell you something. People are not going to change overnight for you. So their heart is where it is at. You cannot change somebody's heart just because you called them out and told them something bad about themselves. It takes that person really, really looking at themselves and saying, you know what? I see I did wrong. I see that I'm the problem here. This person deserves better. And if I care about them, I will allow them to be let go, and I will make changes before I come back to say, hey, I want to have something with you. You cannot change their heart. So sitting back and calling them out on what they did won't change them. Their heart is where it's at. And if they mean bad for you, guess what? It ain't no mistake. It's intentional. And you got to be able to make that discernment. You have that discernment. Discernment is real. And actually, it's considered a gift from God. And it's something that we can make great judgment on and be able to feel a person's vibes, energy, their actions, make very great, swift judgment. And say, yeah, this person don't mean well for me. They're not my friend at heart. And you got to be able to sometimes cut a person off. Say, well, I'm not putting up with this. I deserve better. Your ways is not well for me. Your heart ain't right. You have a bad agenda. And I've seen things like this before. Now, in my current years, I'm a little bit more on guard with relationships and people, in general, because I understand not everybody means well. They don't mean well. They have bad agendas. Sometimes people secretly envy you from within. And it could be that they don't like that your energy is so great. And they're just like, let me just rip this person down. Let me put them into problems, because they hate the idea that you're so positive and you're in the midst of good things. And they just want to put you in the midst of bad things. And that's why I say you got to have discernment and be able to look into people and see what they want for you. They have toxic traits and they want you to be able to be involved in that. And when you choose not to, they're upset with you. And they try to gaslight you into thinking you did something wrong when you didn't. You did what was right for you. And so that's what came to my mind recently, because I recently had a friend who I knew for a very long time. And I don't have no issues with him. He's a male, by the way. And this is going back 14 years ago. I always thought he was in the closet. I don't know why. Well, he had a male roommate, and so he moved in with him and bought a house with him. So, but I never asked him because it's none of my business, and that's crossing boundaries. So I always kept my mouth shut. Never asked him questions about his, sexuality or anything. That's none of my business. So I keep to myself and say, well, I ain't gonna say nothing. But he always been known to talk too much, to the point that sometimes he blabs things out that he shouldn't. And there was a time back when I worked at the same place as him, because he was a sergeant and I was working at my first job on the military base, but full time. And I had other friends, female friends that was friends with him. We all used to hang out and do things. And I remember he had a fallout with one of them. And, it was like a whole shift over there. But in the midst of all of that, there was a particular female. I'll call her name Bay. We'll call her name Bay. Bay at first used to come and she used to be very nice to me, always, talking to me. She seemed very sweet, right? She was actually a supervisor. And, she would talk to me. But one day I caught on to something. Bay had a friend that she got into the job. And every time behind the friend's back, she was talking about her. And she would come to me and say things about her. And the first thing that went in my head was, you're talking about your friend that you call is such a good friend and that you're good friends with her, but you're always downing her work ethics and everything. And it was a red flag to me. And I was young. So, I'm still learning. I didn't know nothing about life in the world. I'm just getting out there. And I'm just observing this. And it was like it's that discernment, that discernment. And you're like, something is very gossipy and slanderous about this woman. And if she could do that to her best friend or her good friend, what will she do to me? Well, let me tell you, that same person one day, somebody said something to me. It was a second supervisor that came to me and they looked at something I did. after I did the job. They looked at over my work and says, "Oh, what's she talking about?" It's like, you don't, she's Bay said that you did this. It's like you did everything fine. That's when I realized this woman's a slanderous, gossipy bitch. She obviously gossiped about her friend to me, and I was just like listening and just trying to fill her out. Now she's doing it to me behind my back and talking about my work ethics. That day, I never liked her after that. But I just kept my mouth shut. Every time Bay came around, I was just very careful with her. I wasn't as like open to her anymore because I didn't trust her anymore. So Bay was friends with the sergeant, the male sergeant that I was friends with. And I had no idea at first until I hanged out with him and my other female friend. And he says, "Oh, he was talking so much great things about Bay." And I said, I don't really like Bay. That's what I said. I said, I'm not crazy about her. I don't really like her like that. I don't trust her. He's like, "Oh, Bay, she's so cool. I don't understand. Wow, I can't believe that." The sergeant male friend of mine, he was very talkative. He was like a female. He was like a female. He was worse than a female. Because women, they talk too much sometimes. We talk too much, and sometimes they're too slanderous and gossipy. Him, I wouldn't say that he was slanderous, but I think that he was too like gossipy, too much to tell things to people, and that was something I didn't like about him. And he talked too much. So I told him that one thing. I said, "I don't really like her like that. I've just, I forgot what I told him, my experience with her, but I just said I don't like her. I wasn't slandering her. I wasn't gossiping about her. I was just telling the truth. There's a difference between gossiping and slandering somebody, talking garbage about them, making up lies and talking about their personal life, and really speaking the truth about somebody. It's two different things. So I ain't gossiping and slandering her. I'm just telling you the truth. I don't trust her, and I'm not really crazy about her. But if you're friends with her, I respect that, right?" Well, we'll make a long story short here, because he was going on. We were on a tour or something. We were at a museum, and he was just yapping on the whole day. I would say maybe about a week or so later, I was working, and that woman Bay comes up, and she's crying, bawling her eyes out. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "He said you didn't like me." I said, "What?" I said, "I'm not sure why he's going around telling you that." And the reason why I said that was because I really don't know why he's going and telling you that. It was unnecessary. It's like, you don't need to go and tell Bay that I don't like her. I didn't intend for her to know that I didn't like her. If I wanted her to know that, I would have told her that myself. And it was unnecessary because I don't have ill will towards Bay. So he went and did that right behind my back. And that day where it was like, where I had a question to say, I know he talks a lot, but like, wasn't he using his brain when he went and told a person that I didn't like her? So right then and there, I lost all this trust with him because it was like, he made it seem like I was gossiping and saying all these mean things about her. Like the way she was crying was really, really bad. Let me turn this light on. It's getting dark. Let me turn this back on. There. He made it seem I was really talking all this like bad. The way she was crying, it seemed like what he told her was bad. And like, her heart is broken. I'm just sitting there. First in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know why she's crying because it's true. She is very like slanderous and she is deceitful. But I don't know what's to cry about. You do a lot of wrong to people, and why do you care if I like you or not? Because it ain't like you treat me nice behind my back. That's what I was thinking about in my head. So I said to, I forgot what I told her, but it was so long ago. It was like 14, 15 years ago. It was like 2010, 2011. It's now 2025. So, it was just odd to me that he would go behind my back and do that. So then I started questioning, does this person have good intentions? Or was it the idea they made a bad mistake? Or they were just talking too much? You know what I mean? And it put me on guard because it was like, I can't tell you things no more because you take things out of context and then you go and make it seem like something else. The thing is this, even if he just told her that one thing and said, Candace don't like you, what made you go to her and tell her that? What was the point of you going to the person I don't like and going and telling her she don't like you? Why are you discussing me around her in the first place? So it led me to think like, does he really have bad intentions or he just talks too much? One way or another, you ain't good for me, and I can't really talk to you, and I don't trust you. So, it was just unnecessary. It wasn't like I had bad intentions for her. She had bad intentions for me, So, she's the one that was talking about my work ethics. So I was young at the time. But as time goes on, I didn't want to believe that he had bad intentions. I was like, no, I don't think he would have bad intentions for me. But then it always sticks in the back of my head, But why did he go and tell her? Was he just hoping to gossip and in hopes that she wouldn't say anything and cry to me? So it's stuck in my head. And the reason why I thought about that, people may say, well, that was 15 years ago. Why are you thinking about it now? Well, because he came recently and sent me a friend request. So my whole thing was, this person sending me a friend request is now 14, 15 years later. Well, should I give them a chance or not? And I felt very uneased because I said, I don't know what his intentions are. So I went and I just proved it because I like to test the waters on things. I like people to play their cards. There you go. Like I told you, I'm the Joker. So I play dumb as hell. I may have a very naive kind of characteristics and personality, but I'm very wise in my years. And I can see through a person and they're naked. You're very much naked to me. I can see right through you, but I'll play stupid like I don't know what you're trying to do. Just so you can play your cards and you can't call me crazy once I catch you in your shit. Because people will do that. They'll try to gaslight you. What are you talking about? Would never hurt you. But see, once they play their cards enough where I got enough evidence to show, yes, you are trying to hurt me, I can sit back and say, I don't trust you. You can't call me crazy because I've seen everything. So, I'm going to drink the rest of this. And while we were talking, I got to drink this down. So, when I did request it, I wasn't quick to say hi to him. I didn't say hi. I let him on my friends list. And the first thing he asked was, hey, you still working at the base on a public comment section? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about that for everybody to know. So I messaged him privately and say, hey, I work on the base only seasonal because I still work on the base, but only seasonal, like part-time job, my second job. So, okay, and he says, I don't work there anymore. I don't. And I said, and I just kind of asked because he told me you don't work there anymore, and I was like, okay, I didn't really know what to say. I said, well, retired or relocate with a question. I just, didn't know what else to say. So I just said retired or relocated with a question mark. And he says, he didn't answer my question. I noticed. He just said, oh yeah, I live near there now. So I said, okay. All right. Well, I ain't going to ask no further more questions. And they obviously don't want to answer my question. Okay, fine. No problem. No biggie. I said, well, things are going good with me. I said, I've been in the medical field for about over 10 years now. And things have been well. But it's good talking to you. I kind of wanted to cut the conversation. I only initiated it because he asked me a question on a public platform, which I didn't want to answer that question. I don't want people to know where I work, So I just kind of was trying to cut the conversation short. I was like, okay, well, it's good talking to you. I said, yes, good to catch up. Good talking to you. You wish you the best or something along those lines. More like I was trying to cut the conversation. So then one day he saw a picture of me and the kids, and he says, are those your kids? And I said, no, these are my nephews. And he sent me a message on the same, he replied on the same message that I was trying to close out. Like I was trying to say, oh, good talking to you. So he goes, wow, congratulations. Are you a nurse? And I'm like, I ended this conversation like a couple days ago. And now you're trying to reopen the same conversation with a question, am I a nurse? So I just kind of went like, yeah, I've been in the medical field. I'm not a nurse. I'm a medical assistant, but I don't want him knowing that because you're not telling me anything. So why do you want me to go into anything about me personally? I mean, and yes, I do have a phlebotomy certification, so I can do blood. Okay. So, he was like, so are you a nurse? And I was like, that's weird. Why would you go on the same message that I closed out and told you, have a good time, nice talking to you, and then you write that? So it was red flag to me. So I just was like, okay, seems like he's not getting the hint that I wanted this conversation. And then when I told him, yeah, I've been in the medical field. Wow, so you're a nurse. And right? So he says it again, like along the lines. And guess what? I looked at it and I ignored it this time. I didn't even say goodbye or anything. Because when I told him like, yeah, I've been in the medical field for a while, but it's good talking to you, then he tries to still continue the conversation. It was like, no, you're a boundary breaker, or you don't respect my boundaries, or are you trying to fish for information? Because I have nowadays I'm starting to realize most boundary breakers are people who are trying to fish for information. There are some people that are just, they're self-entitled. They think they're entitled to your life, and you got to put them in their place where they belong. Don't be too nice to them. But there are a lot of times because they're trying to fish for information, and that's why they break boundaries. Otherwise, they would just been like, okay, well, it's good talking to you, girl. I missed you. That's what most people do. Most people say, hey, missed you, girls. I missed the good times. They ain't sitting there trying to fish for information, trying to ask about your career and where you working and all this other stuff. No, there's something weird going on there. I said, no, this don't feel right. And I go with my intuition and discernment now, because back then I used to go against my discernment, and it always bit me in the ass every single time. And I learned that because there was a video I was watching yesterday. And the girl says, girl, this is not just your anxiety or what you feel. No, what you're feeling really is. It really is what you're feeling. And what you're catching on to somebody is really what you're catching on. And I used to feel that with a lot of people. I would never tell who, but I used to feel it with a lot of people you hang out with. And something would tell me, Candace, don't trust that person. I know they seem sweet. I know they do nice things for you, but they're not good for you. They say they love you. They say they care about you, but they really don't. Not at least in a healthy way. And I would sit back to myself and like wrestle with myself. You ever wrestle with yourself? Like you have a little angel demon on the side of you. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Why would they do these things for me if they care? If they didn't care about me, they wouldn't do this for me. They wouldn't, be around me. No, but there's some people who want to be around you because they resent you. And they're envious of you and your energy. And they're just miserable. And so they want to be around you to figure you out and look at little flaws about your life so they can gossip about it. And they make a big story out of it. And so that's what I learned about people. And that the whole time, it always bits me in the ass when I go against my vibes and energy about somebody, my intuitions. Always follow that gut instinct. It doesn't lie. Energy don't lie. I promise you that. Because I'm telling you, it bit me in the ass every time when I sat back and went against my discernment about somebody. And I sat back and said, stop it, Candace. Just give them another chance. No, don't give them another chance. When you start feeling something weird about somebody, first time, start putting the guards up then. And that's how I am now with people. I put my guards up with everybody now. Not because everybody I have bad energy with, but I don't want to give them the impression that I am open and vulnerable to everybody. At one time, I used to be very vulnerable and open to everybody, loving, nice to everybody, quick to want to say hello. But now I'm more discerning. And I already have a boundary up because I like to feel people out. There are a few people, though, I have to say, that I don't have boundaries with. And it's because I already feel their energy. I already feel that they're genuine people. But those people are very few in numbers. It's like there's some people I could just openly talk to and say, hey, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, how are you doing? And it's just something about them that's genuine. I don't know how to explain it. But most people, I either have a guard up with them or I just don't feel that connection. I'm not in alignment with them. Or I just feel something horrible about them. And it's like, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this person I don't like. And I just don't know what it is yet. I just can't pinpoint what it is. I don't go against my energy, like my vibes, my intuition, discernment it's called discernment against people anymore. So I realized that being too nice isn't always nice. It's not very kind at all. And it's not kind to yourself. You have to be very, very strict with people. So I learned that over the years. So when I talk to people, I'm not very nice to people anymore. Nor am I mean. I'm just very, I give my greetings. I say, hello, hi, good evening. Be kind, but not too nice. I won't even put LOL anymore, although I am laughing half of the time. I am a very joyous person, but I don't want to show anything about myself because it's like I realize that people aren't who they say they are, and people are not always out for your best interest. And so people will want to get close to you for all the wrong reasons. And that's just life in general. So I figure I share those things with people because no, if you're feeling that about people, trust me, trust and believe when I say you are not crazy. You are truly feeling something off. You need to investigate what that feeling is and why you're feeling that around them. Truly. Um, but yeah, that person, I saw the last message after I tried to close the conversation out, and they decided to continue. So I asked my sister, I said, I told my sister, I said, this person here is not getting the hint that I don't want to get personal. Why are they trying to push a conversation? And my sister says, you know what? Yeah, he's trying to be funny now. And you know what I said? I said, you know what? Now he's going to get ignored. And I don't care if it seems passive aggressive. It's not passive aggressive because I'm not the one that have ill will. It's other people. It's possibly that person being passive aggressive. They're the ones being mean by breaking boundaries. So no, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that message. I just said nope. I read it, and I don't care if they saw that I read it. I want them to know. So when I went the next day, I posted some pictures. They didn't bother to comment because I think they were aware that, ooh, this person ain't as nice as used to be. I knew the old Candace 14, 15 years ago that allowed people to cross her boundaries. She was too nice to people. And she let everybody in. And she was vulnerable. And she was, she wasn't the type that's, stand her ground. Now, I don't have to stand my ground with words. I stand it with my actions. Because I learned that silence is your biggest power. And that you can use silence to weaponize many things. So I use my silence now because it's very powerful and it speaks bigger words than your own words. So he realized, he says, ooh, she looked at my message, she didn't reply, and she posted up a picture. I actually posted a picture of my shirt that I got, Jesus is Lord. Let me see if I can get it out of there. I love this shirt. Let's see. So, I posted it up and showed my family and everything, but he didn't dare speak a word to me because, he liked on it, but that was it. It says, for the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. So I love this shirt. I wore it yesterday, but I'm going to keep it in there and keep it clean because it's my shirt to spread the gospel. People need to hear the word of God, So, yes. He did not dare message me back after that. I think he knew he was crossing boundaries. He was being mean, had bad intentions to cross boundaries, and I wasn't going to put up with that. And so my whole thing now is, okay, I'll keep you on my friends list, but trust and believe I'm watching you and I'm looking for you to F up, I'm looking for, I'm expecting an F up. I'm expecting the worst. And I hope he proves me wrong because if, like I said before, I'm not expecting anything good when somebody's trying to cross my boundaries. It's like, oh no. If there's anything that gets me angry, one thing that gets me truly angry is somebody crosses boundaries. I can't deal with it. It pisses me off. It's like if I told you this is what I want and you don't respect it, I will not speak to you. That's just it because I want you to understand that this is wrong. You know what you're doing. And I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. You saw that I saw your message, but I'm going to still do my thing anyways and not answer you. Now, if you write me another message on my page, and you say, hey, nice picture. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for your compliment. So now you realize I can't break her walls because she'll be the one to break you, to cut your ass right off, and I will. So I'm waiting for him to expose his cards, what his true intentions of requesting me on there. And I just hope he proves me wrong. I hope he decides, let me stop doing what I do because I really will give him the boot without no warning. So, and I hope that's not the case with him. Because at one point I did not want to believe he had bad intentions. And I was like, let me not think that. And I really hope he doesn't. But so when he was doing that, it was a red flag to me. Another thing that ran through my head was that this person, knows my former friend that I cut off 3 years ago. This thing is getting bright. I'm gonna turn this off again. So turn this off. This person knows. This light shining in. This person knows. that a former friend of mine that I used to talk to that I cut off for good, and I don't want to talk to them no more. I blocked them in all areas. I blocked them on Facebook. I blocked their phone numbers. I don't ever want to talk to them again, and I feel great since then. Being away from this person, it's the best decision I've ever made. You know, I had my reasons. I've already mentioned why I cut that person off, 3 years ago, but I'm glad I did. You know, I don't regret it. I know that I made the right decision, but that person I cut off, I know that at one point they were talking. The sergeant that's friend requested me, and he was talking to my former friend at one point. So I don't know if he's trying to fish for information, to get this friend information. Because the thing is, I had to block this friend. I don't want nothing to do with her. She tried friend requesting me twice. She tried, you know, uh, messaging me on a text message last year after I blocked her completely and just said, no, I don't want this person to know anything about my personal life. I don't want them to be a part of anything. I don't want to be in any association. So they messaged me, and it was weird. Most people, that you cut off, you're not friends with, if they want to talk to you, they would just say, hey, what's up? This is such and such. I know that we don't talk anymore. It's been 2 years, but I miss you. I'm sorry that things ended off the way it did in our friendship, but I do miss you. I hope that someday we can rekindle. Or maybe at least let me, at least we can go on to be friends on Facebook or something. I'm not trying to force you to have anything. Um, but I'm sorry that things ended off well, and I hope someday maybe we can rekindle something. But hey, best wishes. That's what most people do if they really had meant well. But this friend, messaged me last year, and they were on. It was on a cell phone, and they said, "So, did you have a baby yet?" With question marks, and I said, "What?" I said, "What the hell?" I said, "Oh no, And her family members were still on my friends list. They saw a recent picture of me last year, and I was standing up, and my belly was bloated in the picture. And my belly did look bloated, and I was standing next to my nephew because I was showing how tall my nephew got. So I'm thinking they went and shared that picture with her. She thinking that, oh, she must be pregnant. Let me go find out some information. So, did you have a baby yet? What the hell? I said, oh no, this woman is crazy. And my coworker looked into her profile, saw she was practicing a mantra. And I said, oh, hell no. This chick ain't gonna be sitting there doing any weird heebie-jeebie stuff with my baby in the future. I blocked her. I blocked her off my cell phone. I said, I don't want to talk to her. Block. The last thing that ever happened, because I made sure she didn't friend request me again, because she always friend request me around my anniversary. I don't know why she did that. It was weird. For 2 straight years. So I just blocked her on Facebook, where she could never look me up again, ever. Unless she went under a dummy profile. And if I see a dummy profile, they can't see my pictures because my settings are set to where only friends can see my stuff. And so I blocked her in all areas, even phones, because even though she never called me, I just blocked her cell phone. I don't want nothing to do with her at all. After my coworker said that, it was over. I said, no, we're done. And so I don't know what communications going on behind the scenes with her and other people that I know, but I was like, anybody's sitting here asking me weird questions, and I haven't talked to you in over 10, 14 years, and you're asking me all these personal stuff, and you're trying to be pushy. No, you're giving me some weird vibes. So she, the last thing that I had happen this past year was one of her exes had called me twice. Didn't leave a message or anything. Called me while I was in the middle of work. It was very weird. I said, why would her ex be calling me? And don't leave a message or nothing. It's strange. And it was weird to me. So I didn't call it back. I called it back the first time, remember, to see who it was. And I heard the voicemail was her ex's name. I said, what the hell? I said, oh no. And the second time they called a whole nother day, and I knew the number. I said, no, I'm not answering it. I ain't calling it back or nothing. And that was it. That was going back like 3-4 months ago. But ever since then, nothing strange was going on. But the only strange that's happening is that this sergeant that I talked to back 10, 14 years ago, all of a sudden wants to friend request me and ask me all these questions, which is very strange. But I put him in his place real fast. Like, no, I'm not answering you. And I don't care if you think I'm mean. If you want to leave and unfriend me, go ahead. Do it quickly. Because the day I find something shady and I find you out, guess what? You're going to get blocked. That's where I'm at now in my life. I've blocked a lot of people, man. I mean, I've blocked so many people. When I find out you have bad intentions and a wicked heart, and you have bad ways about yourself to hurt me, it's over. I don't play that game no more. I don't question nothing no more. I don't question my discernment. And I figure I share that with people because I know we all go through these same situations and we're always questioning our discernment. And we're always questioning our gut instinct about things. Stop questioning those things. It will save your life. It's there to protect you. And I'm going to tell you something. Remember I mentioned about that girl, Shaquilla Robinson, that got murdered by her best friends, the Cabo Six and all? Had she had any kind of discernment, or at least had listened to the discernment that she might have had, she may still be alive to this day. That discernment would have saved her life had she had discernment in any form of way, or at least had listened to some red flag warning signs within herself and said, you know what, something seems off about these women. I'm not going with them to Mexico. She would have been alive today, still having her successful business. And you see these women, you can see their energy, that they were like, they had wicked intentions, and they obviously pretended to be her friends. They were having fun with her in the videos, but all the while yet plotting her death, plotting to hurt her, whatever it was. They were so jealous of her. And they ripped her apart. It was just so evil what they did. And they got away with murder. And so they all left her there. Her own best friend set her up. Her own best friend sat there and left her there to die. You can't trust friends. Just because somebody says, I'm your friend, don't mean nothing. You have to trust the energy that you're feeling about them. And if you feel something evil about them, or something bad about them, you need to stop talking to them. That's just it. Don't sit there and try to talk and discuss things, because that's how you get wrapped up into the foolishness, and they'll gaslight you and make you question yourself. And that's what they do. And they had a lot of evil plans. I watched the video myself and said, these girls do not look nice. I mean, they looked evil. She was trying to go skinny dipping in the video. He said, where you at? Where you at? Let's get naked or something like that. And in the video, you saw you could see they didn't like her. They were plotting something. And the next thing you know, they were videotaping her naked getting beat up. Now, did they plot her death? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But they obviously killed her and didn't care and left her there. Used her money and used up everything that she did to buy them that nice, beautiful place. You know, just because you do nice things for people don't mean they like you. They probably were happy and getting joy out of using her, knowing that they could mistreat her behind her back. She was young. She had a whole life ahead of her. And these people were just jealous. Envious, jealous people. Sick in the head. And I'm telling you, I saw their energy. I said, ooh, they look evil. I say, they look mean. And, you know, the way they killed her was horrible. And they still a lot of stuff. I think her back or neck or something back there got broken. And they were beating her up and everything. And she was naked. They were trying to embarrass her and put her on the internet. So you got to be careful. That woman didn't do nothing wrong to them. All it was straight up jealousy. Straight up jealousy. And that's what jealousy makes people do. So you need to be careful. When I felt that energy around my friend, now it's starting to get dark again. All right, maybe the sun is starting to set. Maybe when I felt that energy around my friend, 3 years ago, because I knew her for like almost 13 years. I mean, I had a very long friendship with her, and in the beginning was fine, but that's when I was nice and then set my boundaries, and I will allow her toxicity around me, and I just set boundaries. I wasn't very assertive, and I wasn't doing the best in my life because, I was the full-time worker, and my husband wasn't working full-time, and I will always come and complain to her, and I'm struggling, and this and that, and it almost seems like she'll sit there and say, oh, can't you deserve better, girl? You this and this and this and this and that. Well, let me tell you, the day that I did start doing better, my husband found a job. It was like she wanted to put all this negative vibes into me. And it was the first thing that I noticed was red flag. I said, why is she asking me how much money I'm making now? And why is she asking, telling me things like, oh, let's see if he keeps it. Most people would have been like, I'm happy for you, girl. I'm glad. Oh, you deserve this. About time he's got a job. I'm so glad. You went through all this by yourself for too long. I told her we're going to start saving up and get in the car. I was like, she was getting mad and annoyed. I said, wait, this ain't the friend I used to know. And don't forget it. When I grew in God, my relationship with the Lord, and I told her that, all this time that I've been a child of God and I've been not telling you about Jesus and it's convicting me. And I want to grow my relationship with him, and I stay stagnant and stuff. And I started growing in my relationship with God. I was growing in confidence, becoming more assertive as a person, as an individual, as an adult. Let me tell you how much she changed on me. She became different. I mean, number one, when people ain't with God and they know you're with God, they become your enemy. They're showing their enemy side to you for real. You have a lot of people that are going to do that. So that's normal. But it was like she was showing so much resentment towards that, and plus the idea that things were flowing. I wasn't letting my insecurities or anxieties run my life. I was like, I'm going to go forth and do what I'm going to do. My husband, I have faith that he's going to get this. God got him this job. And I trust the Lord. And the Lord has had him working for almost 3 years now, if not already. And so I thank the Lord every day for that. That's a gift from God. And I said, no, I trust that God is going to get him through. Well, let's hope he keeps his job. And you know what I said? No, he will. This time he will. And guess what? He's been working for 3 years. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm just thankful that he's been working for 3 years, and it's been a big help. It's been great seeing my husband working, and, not just me doing all the work, when it comes to work and finances. So we're doing very, very good right now. We're doing really, really good, more than ever. So it was like it was bothering her. And she was like, she saw that I was confident. Even though I don't see ahead of things, she saw my faith. And then when I got sick, not sick, but I got the dermoid mass in my ovary and fallopian tube was crooked, and my pelvis was deviating to the right side. Everything was all like getting messed up there. They didn't know if it was cancer, right? At the time, because it was lighting up on the MRI. And the first thing is, oh, wow, your MRI scan. So you know what I said? I said, that's okay. I said, I'm not worrying about it. I said, because you know what? This is in the hands of God. And, I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, let me tell you, a whole different person. She started changing. It wasn't like, oh, girl, I love your attitude. I'm supportive of you. I'm going to pray for you. And if you don't believe on the Lord, you at least say, I'm glad that you got that in you, that you have that faith. I want to have that too. You know what I mean? They would have been like supportive, like, yeah, don't worry about that. I don't want you to worry about that on your scan. Worrying is not going to get you nowhere. That's what real friends do. Right? So it was like she did it on my trip. She kept messaging me about the MRI, knowing I'm having a good time with my family. She sees the pictures, and she's doing things to be passive aggressive. So why you always go out there with your family to Baltimore? And, I was like, who is this? This is not my friend. I looked at her message. I said, oh, no. And, I didn't get mad because that's what she was expecting, to irritate me, to get on my nerves, to bring bad energy to me. And this is what I mean by mistakes versus bad intentions. People want to sit here and pretend like, oh, I made a mistake. Give me no chance. No, you got bad intentions. Now get out of my face. Like that's how I am now. And I sit back and say, and I wrote back to her, yep, because it's not about where I go. It's about my family time. Everywhere I go with my family, I enjoy. And I put a big heart. Oh, she didn't like that. She was like, well, yeah, I said, your sister's very pretty. I saw her picture. I said, thank you. She said, thank you. Right now, she's doing her homework right now, because at the time she was going to school for nursing. And she got her nursing degree, my sister. I'm very proud of her. And she's like, oh, my cousin, my niece is going to school too. And she's taking this up. And I said, well, good for her. I said, I'm glad that she is going to school. She's young. She should be pursuing herself. So then she just said, yep. Like more like she got annoyed because the responses she was expecting from me, I wasn't giving to her. See, she was expecting me to get competitive and annoyed. And then she brought by my MRI. What about your MRI? Like trying to be spiteful. And I said, well, that's in God's hands. I ain't worrying about that. I'm enjoying myself. And I took a video on a boat. And you actually see that same video on my shorts. Is me, my nephews, and my sister on a boat. That's the same day I took that video. Like, girl, you ain't breaking me. You ain't breaking my energy. I don't know what the devil is doing behind you and their energy, but that ain't breaking me, because I'm going to enjoy my life. I don't care what's going on around me. God's got my back. He's got me. And I put that in the hands of God. So see, the devil's using her to sit here and irritate me. And I know who it really is. It's the demons and the spirits behind her that's operating behind her. And she don't realize that. So, they sit there. They always want to attack the children of God. and try to come at your energy. She was so pissed she didn't message me or nothing. I said, that's all right. I told my sister, I said, yeah, she seems passive aggressive. And my coworker showed her the same thing. My coworker is a real true friend to me. And she said, this passive aggressiveness, don't give her the energy back. My coworker caught things for me and told me straight up. And she is my true friend, besides my friend that I've known for 20 something years. Other than that, I can't tell you that I have too many people I trust and call a true friend. Because, and so she saw it. She said, yep, shady. Yep, I knew I wasn't crazy. I went and I said, yeah, I'm going to start pulling back from this so-called good friend of mine of almost 13 years. She sat here and lied to me, told me she cared about me, but now I see a whole nother side to her. So, the sad part is I would never have done that to her. I always wished her well. I've always put good vibes into her. And then she did that to me. I said, no, honey. No, this is stank. I don't want to be around this kind of energy. Like, you want to act like that? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to teach you a lesson. What happens when you take advantage of good friends. So I stopped talking to her. I said, no, I ain't going to talk to her. I ain't going to say nothing to her. I'm going to see if she truly wants to be around me and be my friend. So she went, I think, 2 months, because she got mad one time at me or whatever, because I told her that, I want to start focusing on my life and, growing as an individual, focusing on my future. And it got her mad that I said that, because I said I don't want to be traveling too much because I want to save up my money and do things. And me and hubby trying to get a car, trying to do things. I would like to go to school at the time. I wanted to go to school, but things got in the way with, personal things in the family. Somebody had some health issues. I'm not going to mention here what happened, but that was a miracle from God itself. I know it was what happened with my family. But God just got us through. And so it was like it was bothering her that no matter what was going on around me with this whole thing with the surgery and my family members' health and everything, it was like God was just making me stronger and stronger, keeping me moving. I didn't care what was going around me. I continued to still keep my head up and keep moving. Not seeing what's ahead of me, but knowing that God would take care of me. And it bothered her so much. And one day I put a video up on my Facebook about Halloween that I'm not going to celebrate that anymore. And there was a lot of people on there they agreed with me. Say, yeah, I don't celebrate that. My church do a special event on that night, so we're not out there celebrating the holiday. And my other friend, she agreed and stuff like that. She comes on there and says a negative comment. So you're not going to take your nephews out for nothing? 2 months after not talking to me. I said, wait, hold up here. So she goes 2 months without talking to me, but now she want to criticize me. I was like, well, I got something for her. And I just said, who you been listening to? I said, I haven't been listening to anybody. I've always known that it wasn't a good holiday. I was rebellious. I ain't gonna lie. I was out there doing things I shouldn't have been doing. I've known God for a very long time. This is nothing new. It's just that now I'm manifesting. And God is part of my life. This is who I am. This is my identity in Christ, right? I'm letting people see that. For a long time, I did not tell people about God, and I've been guilty about it. It ate me up. So I've always knew it was a bad holiday. I made excuses. And that's what I told her on the comment. I'm not ashamed to be humble enough to say that. I'll tell you the truth. I was ashamed for years. It ate me up, the guilt, not telling people the truth. And I made excuses. And that's what I said, to celebrate this holiday. And no, I won't be celebrating no more. Oh, she didn't talk to me after that for another 2 months. And then guess what? One day she messages me in December of 2022 before my surgery. What happened to our friendship? And I said, what a fool. She thinks I'm stupid. And I just wrote her a detailed message, a long message, wishing her well, telling her that we grew out of alignment with each other. I'm on a different path now. And I see that she's not in support of my path. So I didn't have to tell her that. She knew where I was going. I said, I'm on a different path now. I said, if you want to stay friends on Facebook, that's fine, but we can't hang no more. I said, other than that, I have to move on. We can't hang no more. And I told her, don't take this personal. I said, take this time to invest in yourself and to love yourself and, figure out yourself in life. And I just left a big heart. I told her, take care. And when I say that, I mean it. So she was like, just because of our beliefs, you're going to stop talking to me? See how she was manipulating? No, it's not just about beliefs. It's about our mindset. It's that you're not supporting of my walk and that we're not in alignment no more. So that's when I completely stopped and I left it up to her. I said, it's up to you whether you want to stay friends on Facebook or not. And I really was hoping she was going to delete me, which she did. But then she tried to friend request me back twice over the past 2 years during my anniversary. And every time she did, I clicked it off. I said, nope, You made my job easier. And then when she wrote that message last year to me, that was it. I said, I don't even want her looking me up and trying to find a way to friend request me. So I blocked her so she couldn't look me up anymore. And I blocked her phone number. And ever since then, I was just like, this is great. I'm at peace. But it just comes to show you mistakes versus bad intentions. That's not a mistake. That's her attention. That energy that was coming from that ex-friend of mine's, that wasn't a mistake. That was intentional. She had bad intentions. She grew envious. She got angry because she saw that I was growing in the light. She saw that I was moving forward with my life and she was staying where she's at because she chose to stay there. And she was expecting to be selfish and expect me to stay with her. And that wasn't going to happen. Not at all. Not just that, it was a year later after I stopped talking to her when I find out that she blocked my best friend of 20 years. You know, my good friend of 20 years, she blocked her after she insulted her weight. I didn't know about it. I had no idea about that. So the whole time she was friends with me, she sat there and assaulted my friend of 20 years and was smiling in my face, being my friend. And my friend of 20 years, because of that, was depressed. She took her picture off of Facebook and she never told me until after the friendship was over. And her reason was because she didn't want to ruin what I had with her. She says, I didn't want to ruin what you had with her. But what she said to me about my weight, it messed me up. It mentally, like, it had me in depression, like a suicidal state. It made me feel depressed. I had no idea. I was so angry. I said, oh my gosh. So it wasn't just me feeling anxiety. All this time I felt evil about her. I felt a bad energy. And this is what I'm telling people. If you feel something about somebody, don't think, oh, this is just me, making excuses. No, that's really what you're feeling. You need to investigate that energy you're feeling around that person. Because that whole time I was feeling awful and I was making excuses like, oh, I've been friends with her for, 12, 11, 12, 13 years, she's my friend. Why would she do that to me? I'm feeling something off about her. Oh, no, I should have been investigated it. And then my friend told me, my friend of 20 years, my homegirl from day one, okay, told me that this woman insulted me with my weight, passive aggressively, trying to make me feel some kind of way. I took my picture down. I'm hurt. I didn't want to say nothing because I didn't want to ruin your friendship, Candace. I was so upset. I said, why did you not tell me? So I didn't want to ruin what you had with her. I didn't want to seem like I was trying to ruin what you had or I was being jealous or something. You know what I mean? She didn't want to make it seem like that. So she would rather keep it in because if I had known that then, she probably got cut off even sooner. I said, excuse me? And that would have been it. You hurt my best friend, my good friend of 20 years and smiling in my face and making fun of her weight and shit. Oh, no. And I don't live far from you, okay? Oh, no. So that's what I found out a year later, that she was doing shady things behind my back on top of that. So I didn't know about it. I was very upset. Very upset. I really wanted to hurt somebody after when she told me that. I was just like, my hands were like this, like, just shaking, like, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to not message. I said, whew. I said, I'm not going to say nothing because I know it's not even worth it. But I said, at that time, if I knew that she felt like that after she did that, I can't promise what I would have done because I had been very upset. So after that, I said, now I know for sure that this ain't me, I'm not crazy, and that this is really discernment and that I should have been listening to it all along. So people out there, if you're feeling something strange about somebody, go with your discernment. Do not go against it. Chances are you are really feeling the truth about them. You may not know why you're feeling something bad about them, but very much so there's something real about what you're feeling. And a lot of times you'll investigate and find out what they're doing and see a lot more than what you thought. Oh, shoot, I had no idea this person was doing this behind my back. What? And you're going to find out things that's going to be like, wow. You're not going to ever want to sit back and brush off your intuitions ever again. Okay? You're going to say, no, I see every time I did that, it got bit in the ass. So that's my message to people. Do not let people gaslight you. Once you find out what they're doing, do not let them gaslight you with this bullshit excuse. I made a mistake. People want to play victim and guilt trip you because they don't want to be held accountable. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do nothing to try and make light of what they did to you. You take things too serious. Girl, you take it too. Ain't nobody taking nothing serious. It's called you did something wrong. You have bad intentions. It ain't no mistake. It's bad intentions, and it's time for you to be held accountable and walk away from them. Bottom line. And you want to give them a second chance. It's not right or wrong to do, but I would say you're unwise if you're going to give somebody a second chance at something, especially if they have bad intentions and they haven't shown that they really changed. So I figure I share that with people, because I know, again, that's my experiences, and it's also other people's experiences that I've seen and learned from and realized that, wow, you really do need to take heed when you feel a certain energy about people. And you really need to be able to use your discernment and make good judgment on people. And you have to look at what is coming out of their heart, their fruits. The Bible, and I was saying this yesterday before my stream got cut. How in the Bible it says you know them by their fruits? Jesus said to his disciples, you know them by their fruits, because he was talking about sheep's and wolf's clothing, along those lines, like false prophets and people giving false teachings. They really weren't for God. They were people using God's name in vain for power and glory. And, they were teaching false doctrines. So Jesus says, you know them by their fruits. A person can say, I love God, I'm with God, this and that, but if their fruits, which is their actions, their outcomes, what comes out of the heart, whatever comes out of it, if it's showing hatred, evil, not the love of God, it's showing somebody who's looking to deceive and deceptive. They're self-righteous and they think that there's something, and they use God's name in vain to make other people feel down. Is that the spirit of God, or that's the spirit of the devil? What spirit are they operating from? That's not the spirit of Christ. And it's the same with anything else. People's actions. People say, I love you. I care about you. You're my best friend. And they're sitting there overcompensating you with love bombs and gifts and everything. But all the while, yet they're pulling you into the midst of issues, or they're showing you some negative energy, negative Nancy energy. They're coming at you with backhanded compliments, being passive aggressive. So that way, when you question them, they sit back and say, what are you talking about? You take things too serious, girl. You need to calm down. You too uptight. You too uptight. That's foolishness. No, you very much right what you felt. That person was being passive aggressive. You need to see their fruits. That's what you go by. That's what you make judgment on. Not by, what they said, man, give me another chance. No, it's called, you have bad fruits. I know you by your fruits. Use that to your advantage. Use that scripture and apply it to your life and everything. And say, I know them by their fruits and what they're showing me. And they're showing bad intentions. And they obviously ain't my friend. Time to go. Goodbye. Click. But you're a Christian. You're supposed to forgive. Oh, I've forgiven you already, honey. I have no anger towards you. If anything, I feel sorry for you. I love you, but I'll love you afar. God bless. I hope you find peace in your life. And that's it, Let them have their own. Let them keep that fruit to their own. You don't want to partake in that bad fruit. You don't want to eat that nasty grape off the tree. You want good fruit. You want good fruit to eat. You want good grapes and good apples to eat, not the ones that's rotten inside. Looks nice on the outside, but when you open up, there's rotten in the inside. I don't want to eat that kind of fruit. I want to eat the fruit where I open up the apple and there's juice flowing. That's how it's supposed to be in your relationships. If it ain't juice flowing out of that, you ain't feeling the goodness out of that fruit that they're producing to you. You're not feeling something good out of it. You're not feeling good energy. It's somebody who's uplifting you. It's time to cut them off. That's just it. So I figure I say that as my last message. I'm going to get going because it is getting dark and I want to eat. And later on tonight, I do want to, I think I'm going to do a short Bible stream before 12 midnight because, I want to get my onesie and get comfortable. And we'll do a scripture before I sleep because I can't go to sleep now, not 9 or 10 o'clock because it's going to be too soon. I slept all day pretty much to 3 o'clock. It's, I'm going to end up waking up with a headache or something. So, so I figure I shared that. I may even clean later tonight too because I didn't get a chance to do anything in my apartment at all. So I'll do that, keep myself busy. But God bless. I'm going to have a coffee and get moving. I'm hungry. Take care and bye-bye.